Reading code samples when you are learning an API can be very useful. In this video, I will show you how to access the code samples for Jetpack Compose when you are working and learning a new component of Jetpack Compose, like for example animation or navigation or other component of the Jetpack Compose toolkit. So to do that, we head over to Android Code Search, which is available at cs.android.com. Here's a heaven of Android developers. You can find different projects of Android like Android, Android X, and Android Studio. The source code for these projects is available in these repositories. Since Jetpack Compose is part of Android X or Android Jetpack project, we open Android X for Jetpack Compose. And then I head over to platform/frameworks/support. Here you will find the up-to-date code and source code for this project. You can find different components of Android Jetpack project, like you can see activity adds annotation and many other libraries and projects like Hilt. I'm looking for Compose. The Compose project and its source code is available here. Compose. I open Compose, and then you can find different parts of Compose like animation, compiler, desktop docs, foundation, material. As an example, we are looking for the animation samples available in Jetpack Compose. So I open animation, and then you can find that animation has several different components. Several different components are available in the animation component of Jetpack Compose. I open animation core to see the basic animation examples, and then samples, src, main, Java, Android X, Compose, animation, core, samples, and then we find several Kotlin files that contain the samples. If you are looking for animatable samples, you can find them in the animatable samples.kt file. So I open this file, for example, and you can find different and several different examples of using animatables, like animatable animate to generic type, which shows you how to animate an offset using animatables. And there are several other different examples of using animatables in the same file. Each one of them are annotated with @sampled. There are different files, different Kotlin files. There are several different Kotlin functions that are annotated with this same annotation, @sampled. The last one, for example, shows how to animate fade in using animatables. So this is one way to access Jetpack Compose samples on Android Code Search. The other way, which takes advantage of Android Code search capabilities, is by getting a reference in Android Studio online documentation. For example, if I'm reading the documentation for animatable, which I have accessed by control clicking animate to in my source code, I see a reference to this sample, androidx.compose.animation.core.samples.animatable fade in. To find it, I simply search for animatable, the last part of the last component of this package name. Animatable fade in. I can copy it, or I simply type it, animatable fade in. I type it in the search box here, animatable fade in. Let me see if I typed it correctly, animatable fade in. And one of them is for the samples. You can see the file name hints that this is a sample. And because we are looking for samples, this is our file. This is the file we are looking for to see the samples. The other one actually contains the source code that has a reference to that sample, that specific sample. So I open the first one, animatable samples, and there we go. We found the sample we were looking for. It is a Kotlin function, animatable fade in, that is annotated with @sampled, and this will show you how to use animate2, which was referenced with this documentation. So after watching a video for a lecture, if you still have problem understanding how an API works, how a certain API works in Jetpack Compose, or you simply want to learn more and dive in more and get a deeper understanding and actually expand your experience and skill set, you can simply head over to Android Code Search and see different samples that are available here and read them, try to implement it yourself in order to learn more. So that's it for Android Jetpack Compose samples. Happy coding!